So here we are at the Swiss Economic Forum. It's the 20th anniversary of the event. How is sentiment here about the Swiss economy?
It's the 20th anniversary and we are key sponsor for 20 years. So I'm very proud, and I would say the atmosphere here, it's really great. People are upbeat, people are somewhat optimistic. Normally they have, I think, good pipelines when I talk to them about business, so that is very good. And then, as always, when you look a little bit to longer term, well, here and there, some little concerns, but overall, I think upbeat, very positive.
What would the concerns be?
Well, it's a little bit on the, on one hand, it's political uncertainty. Everybody has seen what has happened in Italy. There are really some concerns around it. What does it mean for, exchange rates, which is hugely important for the Swiss export industry, but on the midterm, stability of the EUROZONE. Then the whole question of the political uncertainty you have. Look to the Middle East, look to potential trade war, all the actions taken around the world. So this is what is a little bit concerning.
And these concerns, how do they impact particularly SMEs?
Well, we do a monthly survey on, business sentiment, and the business sentiment of the Swiss small and medium-sized enterprises is on a record high, highest for 7 years, the same as with large companies. So what I said, the sentiment is very positive. I think it's like a miracle how the Swiss economy turned around after 2015, the Swiss euro shock that we had. So that is very positive.
A big topic here at CEF is digitization. How important is that?
Well, I think I would distinguish between, on one hand, yes, it's truly important. On the other hand, it's also a little bit a buzzword, a lot of noise around it. I think we are all probably slightly overestimating the short-term impact. We will see the real impact on the longer term of digitization, and it will be truly transformational.
How long term?
Well, I would say let's think about shorter term, 2 to 3 years, longer term, 5 to 10 years.
In Switzerland, are we a leader when it comes to digitalization, or are we just following where others lead?
I think Switzerland is extremely well positioned. Yes, from a technical perspective, we have top-notch universities. We have, in the Italian-speaking part, an institute for artificial intelligence. You looked at ETH, but that's not really the case. The case is, can the Swiss industry adjust to that new conundrum? Can we adjust, create new business opportunities, new business models? And I think here, Switzerland is very well positioned.
And it's not just about creating new companies, it's about changing existing companies. I mean, how able are we to kind of deal with that kind of disruption?
Yeah, look, on one hand, you have the here and now where you need to deliver on your existing business model, and at the same time you need to transform. And when I look just to the Swiss industry, I would say that gives me a lot of good sentiments around it. It will be hugely challenging, but the quality of the people, of the workforce, the quality of management, the stable country that we have, that has, I think, great prerequisite for the industry to be also successful on going forward basis.
So Switzerland is very well placed for this?
I think so.
When it comes to innovation, I mean, there's not just digitalization. I mean, where else are we looking to make progress here in Swiss business?
I think digitization is just one element. The true topic is really innovation. How can we reinvent ourselves? And what people need to keep in mind, when you think about innovation, you also always need to think, where do I come from? And the strengths of the Swiss industry and the service industry has always been, who is the customer, how can I focus even best on customer needs, and that will drive also future innovation.
Could we do better?
You always can do better. I think Switzerland is by all rankings normally top-notch in terms of innovation, competitiveness, but we cannot be complacent. We have quite some bureaucracy. When I look to the World Trade Organization, ease of doing business, we have fallen back. We are now roughly number 30. So we shouldn't be complacent, but we have great starting position.
You are from UBS. How does digitalization manifest itself in the banking industry?
No, the banking industry and UBS in particular, this is a high-tech industry, we should not forget. But obviously digitization is absorbing a lot of our budgets. We have millions that we invest in digitization. And here again, it's what can we do better for the customer, how can we improve our processes, and then what are new ways to collaborate also with companies outside of our sector. So these are the three themes that we see when we talk about innovation.
And do you address at all the concern over jobs?
I understand there are concerns over job. In reality, I'm less concerned about it. I think it's the constant transformation. It's when you are education, you need to be educated all the time, and people need to dive into digitization, understand it. And the simple way to do it is, you need just use the apps that you can access and learn to walk with it, and then I'm not that much concerned.
How much do you think, though, the banking industry will change under the influence of these new innovations?
I think the banking industry over the mid and long term will fundamentally change. What will the really future structure look like? There's a lot of speculation, so we need to take a step-by-step approach. What I said, on one hand, make sure we keep the stability also in the financial sector and the bank that we have. On the other hand, walk aggressively and develop constantly new products, new services, and leverage the advantages of digitization.
And how is that happening in Swiss banks compared to other global banks?
I think Swiss banks in general is probably, I would say, in the middle of the pack. Our position at UBS is we want to be a really fast follower. I don't think there's anything in for us that we want to be a world leader in digitization, but we are monitoring closely, we are a fast follower so that we really can make tangible progress.
What else are some of the challenges facing the workplace in Switzerland, as a financial centre?
Well, the financial centre obviously has dramatically changed over the last couple of years. On one hand, we have better but much more regulation, but maybe we have also lost a little bit the edge. So I think to build
because of regulation, we've lost the edge?
I think regulation and then all the subsequent, actions taken also from a political perspective have not clearly strengthened the financial centre. So it's time to really change gears, and I think the government clearly sees it and Parliament as well.
Is regulation a hindrance?
No, I think in our industry, you need a good regulation, and Switzerland needs to have a very stable, predictable regulation that is like a quality stamp, but it needs to be globally also competitive.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're now kind of circuiting around the market access issue with the EU. How do you think that will develop?
Well, market access is in particular a huge topic for the Swiss economy, Swiss export economy. We as banks have said we would like to have market access, but we are not pushing aggressively at that point of time on the political agenda.
The Swiss economy right now is doing very well. Are we where we should be?
I think so. When you look to, it's very strong growth, one of the richest countries in this world. We are predicting a 2.4% growth, which means, within 30 years we can double GWP per capita. So that would be very, very strong. We look record low unemployment, so in a good shape and good budgets to innovate.
Where do you see potential hurdles then in the coming months?
Well, I would be optimistic on the shorter term for the coming months. The biggest hurdle are the uncertainties from a political perspective and what we mentioned, what is happening in Italy after the summer break, trade actions, trade war. These are just a couple of examples that completely can change the forecast.
And the European Central Bank as well, we're expecting something from them next week. Do you think we could start to see a change in their monetary policy?
Well, I'm not sure after what we have seen now, also in terms of the political derail in Italy, that we will see a quick shift in the monetary policy by the European Central Bank. Also, I think expectations are that somewhat in 2019 they will start at least to stop, the quantitative easing program.
And the SNB, will that follow suit? I mean, will they react accordingly?
I think the SNB is very well positioned, will take careful, considered measures and will carefully not only observe what the European Central Bank is doing, but what also other central banks and other major leading currency movements are really going. So they will take their measures, but they cannot do it in a completely independent way.
No. Okay. Axel Lehmann, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you. Pleasure.